Welcome, everyone, to another Director's Dive here on the Stay Gold channel. Director's Dive number 6 for Stanley Kubrick. This week we're talking Barry Lyndon. 1975, written obviously for the screen by Sir Stanley Kubrick. Is he a sir? Is he a sir? I don't know. I just made that up, but
He could be.
He probably thinks
I think
he's
he
a
might
sir.
be. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
but
his ego is a sir.
Yeah, he called himself a sir for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Self-anointed.
Yeah, right. He put the sword on his own shoulder.
Yeah.
But solely written by him for this one, so that's kind of interesting. But based on the novel, The Memoirs of Barry Lyndon, Esquire, and this one's starring Ryan O'Neal and Marissa Berenson. So we're in it, guys. I mean, this is what 4 from the end for Kubrick. We're in the 70s, almost through the 70s. So, what are you guys thinking here on Barry Lyndon?
You go ahead, Noah.
My oh my, period piece dramas. Let me tell you. No, I honestly for this, I'm not like I kind of loathe the sort of like Downton Abbey, aristocratic politic whatever of like shows. And I knew this had a bit of that, which was also probably part of my angst going in with this 3-hour film. But like I want to say maybe the first hour in there were some. I think what got me was like, and I think this is again a common thing with Kubrick is like there's like just little bits of like satirical goofiness of like what the subject that he is covering, and that stuff really just like that helped me a lot out and like sticking with this one because. Otherwise, I mean, it did get dry around the halfway mark and maybe the next half hour after that. That's just the middle area.
Yeah.
Got kind of dry and slower. I just felt the time more so maybe. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, it was like a still very intriguing story of like this dude living through this time period and kind of like failing upwards, like going through the shit, deserting, like fucking like kissing bitch, like like kissing every girl he meets, sleeping with every, like just trying to like live it, survive.
18th century.
So I guess overall I came out, like I said, enjoying this one more than I expected to or even wanted to. So I was like, kind of didn't want to like this one because I was like, you know what, Kubrick. Just like you're too good. I gotta something's gotta.
Yeah, this one's gotta be the rough one, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Alex?
I don't want to say I'd rather watch people fold socks than sit through this movie ever again.
I can find a live stream of that for you.
Yeah.
No, that's not. It wasn't that bad. It was pretty bad. Like not bad. Okay, let me rephrase this. Let me start over.
Okay. Socks. Back to socks.
Yeah,
rewind.
Yeah, socks. Yeah. It wasn't a
stockings
bad film. It was just like most I say for Kubrick films. It's just I don't know if it's not for me, but I really enjoyed the last sequence. That was super gripping and interesting.
The duel.
Yeah, thought provoking.
Yeah. I thought it was a great way to end it. Considering how it started and everything.
Right, and it was that was well done. I enjoyed that, so that elevated it a little. But other than that, I mean, it was fine. It was another Kubrick movie.
Nice.
I don't know. The Kubrick train is almost at its last station, and I'm still really not. I mean, I'm on board. I'm just getting drugged behind, like unwillingly. But
he's in the caboose.
He's puking off the caboose.
Tied
sick of being on the train.
Yeah. But yeah, what did you think, Matt?
I think like the period pieces that Kubrick does strangely are like hitting me better. And I think it might be because most period pieces that I watch I don't like them. So like when I watch a Kubrick one where it's clearly somebody who's a lot better at making a movie, I think like I just really appreciate these more because they're so much better than all the other ones, I would say. So this one, I actually really enjoyed it. I don't think it's a perfect movie. I have a couple flaws I'd like to get into, but yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is one of the ones I enjoyed more so of Kubrick. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird, I don't know. Kubrick is such a weird filmmaker, man. I swear.
For sure.
Like the way that he hits people is so strange. And and he like he has like a spell. It's because like when I started this movie, I was like, oh, this feels like a little more stilted. It's like a little more boring, like the pacing, like where we like, okay, god damn it, like, and then by like minute 15, I'm like, I know what you're doing now, you know, like, and I'm on board. So like,
as soon as that fucking lanky ass officer, the long takes on his goofy ass face marching,
right,
I was like, fucking guy, like, yeah.
He's so. The thing with Stanley Kubrick though is like this movie probably didn't need to be 30 hours long. He's just so self-indulgent with every shot, and it's just like, okay, I enjoy me a nice long, so I can absorb it. But like, I don't know, Kubrick, please just give me a break.
I mean, I could see that. I think probably the biggest hurdle for most people who don't like Kubrick is probably just the pace, honestly, because when like the 15 minutes at the beginning is like me like am I gonna be okay with the pace? Am I adjusting to it? And then I usually can, but I'm assuming a lot of people are just never want to be this slow in a movie, you know. So like, I totally get that. I think I just am digging like he's so thoughtful in each shot for the most part. I think there are some sloppy shots in this one that I'm never bored. I'm still engaged. I'm still ready. Like I'm never like. Personally, but that's just me.
I mean, he's got the reputation of being a fucking guy, very like who wants everything done his way, right? By like, lines he draws. So, I think there's like a bit of a trade off in like for him probably like wanting every frame to be perfect and that kind of, you know what I mean? Like because there's some beautiful cinematography, you know what I mean? Like great shots, like great set
all
design
natural lighting,
and like lighting is great, like costume design is great, like all that shit is nailing. But yeah, I think that's like where the pace, like that's what sort of like sets the pace for this one. You know, it's like you're like sacrificing people's time to like really give them a full picture of like some of this. For this guy's story. Yeah, this guy's whole life, Redmayne Barry or Barry Lyndon. Like, so it's like, I don't know. I'd love to see the book this came from, actually, because I'm sure it's like a thick ass fucking book.
With probably, more stories, even like
way drier than this thing ended up being. So
right. I think Kubrick did it. Like, if he really wrote this by himself, I think he did a pretty good job of chiseling the story to what it should be. Again, I have
demonstrated that he's just good at adapting shit too.
He is like
most everything else is.
We'll see.
Sweet.
We'll see next week with The Shining, though. But he gets the core of what he wants out of the story. Maybe he's not taking each like story beat for what it should be or whatever, but I think he gets to the root of what the story needs to be pretty easily, I would say. But
because I can't say he makes so far he hasn't made like a bad movie, in my opinion.
No,
like, it's not.
I don't think so.
Technically,
it's not bad,
right. Like it's just not. There's nothing wrong with any of the movies or anything that he's like put on screen. So,
I will say one style choice that it's questionable. So many zooms, man. This guy loves his zooms. Like, it's like, and I kind of like. I was like, why do we like zoom so much? And I was like, well, it starts very intimate on the subjects or whatever he's on, and then it kind of takes you out to show that he's like a pawn in the overall story, or he's not that important. So I'm like, okay, cool. But then like a zoom shot followed by another zoom shot, like that's. I question if that's good filmmaking or if he just doesn't give a shit and he likes zoom shots, you know? Because like I can dig a zoom shot. I think they're kind of like outdated nowadays, or people think they're like hack,
cheesy,
But I think that was cool. I mean, it reveals like 90% of a frame when he does that.
Right.
So it's like I don't know. I question some tactics he has with filmmaking, I'd say, but
it's fair. Maybe he's experimenting. You know, this is, I don't know, like, what line of, what is this, would you say 7 or 8 in his line of films?
Oh.
So maybe he's just getting, like, 8, maybe he's just getting a little, I don't know.
He just wants to...
Restless, he just wants to fuck around a little
bit.
Yeah, let me get my hands up, pushes the cinematographer off, let me get my, old Papa come here, fuck around a little bit, I don't know, no.
I think one of the more successful, like I mentioned earlier, was that final like shootout sequence. I think from the moment with the back dolly, I think that was super like he had tension for like the first time ever where I was just kind of like kind of in,
Yeah,
and it
that's
felt
true.
like, wow, thanks Kubrick for doing this for me.
Yeah.
It's been a minute
That was a
since.
scene. Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, like you guys have mentioned, the whole movie, there's nothing like technically wrong with it. Obviously, the dude's a
Mhm.
great filmmaker, but it's just his movies aren't, I don't know. They're not engaging enough maybe for me. I don't know. But that
Right.
moment was super, it felt super, I don't know, intense,
Yeah.
intentional, and
Yeah,
it
I
was
love
A,
like,
that ending
a well
scene.
yeah,
curated like
right.
sense of tone
And
Mm-hmm.
and even the
from
writing
Barry's.
in that was like super thought
Yeah,
provoking because like the guy fucks up and then Barry
yeah.
just willingly fucks up and the guy's like,
Right.
huh,
Let's
no,
go
I'm not
again,
satisfied.
motherfucker. Yeah, yeah.
Like you
Yeah,
can
it's like
feel it building in your brain when
right,
when
Yeah.
each beat happens, what it means now,
right.
like, and when the gun just goes off in his hand, that's
Yeah.
so unexpected. I like laughed out
Yeah.
loud.
Sir Richard, this pistol must be faulty. I must have another one.
I'm sorry, Lord Bullingdon, but you must first stand your ground and allow Mr. Lyndon his turn to fire.
That is correct, Lord Bullingdon. Your pistol has fired, and that counts as your shot.
Like Kubrick's a smart guy, and
Yeah.
and as like curmudgeon-y and dickish as people gave the identity to him, he seems like he's like a funny film. Like he wants to put jokes in. He wants to be.
That's
Right.
it. Yeah, he's poking fun at like the stuff he's making too. I feel like at the same time,
Yeah.
like some of the
That's what
ridiculousness.
it's
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
it's
know.
hard for me to wrap my head around the idea that
Yeah,
maybe this guy was funny.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
very dry sense of humor. No,
Right.
Yeah.
I can agree that this for me, like this is probably the like hardest watch of Kubrick's that I've
Yeah.
had to watch so far.
I could see that.
Yeah, it's not like I don't know if it's the worst one he's made or the worst that I've been. Probably not.
This
I think.
isn't the hardest watch.
Yeah.
I would say 2001 is probably for me the
Really?
hardest.
That could be a hard
watch,
watch for people, I'd
yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one, I mean, this
Fair.
one wasn't hard for me. Like, I think the character of Barry, I latched onto pretty easily, pretty quickly too.
Mhm.
I mean, first he's like making out with his cousin, so I'm just like, what are we watching here, guys? Like,
Yeah.
First, you fall in love with your cousin.
yeah, just to show like the innocence of where
Yeah.
he starts from, hopefully to like where he goes.
Then
But,
he
I mean,
murders a man.
Turns
in the
out your
whole
cousin's a
world.
slut. So.
right.
Yeah, right.
But
Sure.
Barry's like a very simple man, obviously, but he's
Yeah.
very like calculating and very logical. And I kind of enjoyed Ryan O'Neal's portrayal where there's like something like almost like dead inside him.
Yeah.
It's like I don't
Yeah.
know, it's like he's going through the motions of this shitty 18th century life, and
Yeah.
so I was kind of
I
on
mean-
board with him pretty easily, so that maybe that helped as well,
At least he had his principles too,
Right. I mean,
extent, which I respect.
yeah, he was a good guy, and I think this is the
Yeah.
biggest gripe I have of the movie is after the intermission, I think the movie becomes a lot more boring and a lot more predictable, and it's mostly predicated off of like Barry becoming an asshole instantly. I'm just like, nothing led up to this showed me that Barry was a selfish man the whole time. Don't get me wrong, but like he's not actively being a dick to someone,
Right.
like he's actually being a pretty good person to most people.
Yeah.
But then he's like immediately after intermission blowing smoke in his wife's face and then just like fucking every bitch he sees. Like I'm just like I get that you needed to kind of propel the story to the next beat. Now he's at the peak and we got to bring him down now, but
Yeah.
that was just very disconnected with like how fast and no reasoning given to like why. So that was my biggest gripe of the movie is that the two halves don't feel like wholes. They feel like
Yeah.
incomplete. But
Well, maybe if he would just, I don't know, take less time fucking around with cool cinematography, he could flesh out a story a little bit smoother.
yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
like he only missed like 2 scenes though. That's what
Right.
like got me is like I mean clearly this guy's going to be selfish at the height of class now.
Right.
But like, why does he actively hate his wife? And like, is this because he's like trying to show how much he hates upper class? But he's been striving for this class the whole time. So why is he like? I don't know. That I struggle with that part. But.
Yeah, that's a bit confusing. I didn't understand why, like, I mean, he ended up getting killed by his stepson. Like, that could have easily been avoided had he just, like, been there or, like, been a bit better.
Yeah, not like a douche.
But, yeah, I chalked it up to, like, he's now lived through, like, 2 wars fighting for people he didn't believe, like, care for, and now he just, like, and then he married some rich old person to, like, so I chalked it up to just, like, the dude's done. He's just, like, he fell into his fortune, and now he's just, like...
He's retiring.
Yeah, he's just, like, hands off, like, nothing.
Yeah. That's true, I guess, because, like, the whole conflict in the second half is that Bullingdon thinks that he's just using his mom. So, I mean, he is.
Which he is, yeah. Like,
I just wanted to see, like, I guess a little more growth to get there. Yeah. But, I mean, it was a good downfall. I mean, clearly, Martin Scorsese took the structure of this movie and ripped it out and put it on his desk to, like, follow for every movie to come now. But it's like clearly shows what he uses in all of his movies now. But
yeah, it's true.
Just further shows Kubrick's touch on.
It's crazy, man. Every filmmaker takes something out of it, like,
for sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too. I don't know. The one film that I really enjoyed at Kubrick's, the influence that film had on my favorite director, and then all these other ones, it kind of goes your favorite
branches
ones
out.
playing to your taste, It's just, I don't know, it's cool.
I actually felt another
give him respect for that.
Yeah, I actually felt like another Tarantino reference in Barry Lyndon, kind of when he's acting like he's the general and he's like getting interrogated by the Prussian army general or whatever.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like the interrogation scene in Inglourious Bastards a little bit,
Right.
So you can see the roots for everything almost, and it's crazy. But
by the way, to whom are you carrying your dispatches? General Williamson. General Williamson? Yes. General Percival Williamson. Yes, the same. Sergeant. Dieser Mann ist unter Arrest.
yeah, I guess another question I have is the narration.
I hated the fucking narration.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't like a huge fan of it, but
God, it seems so pointless in this one, especially.
A lot of what they're saying is just explaining what you already know / just witnessed. So I kind of questioned it at first, and then the moment where I was like, okay, was when he gets taken by the Prussian general, and then the narration kicks in to be like, and Barry found Prussian life to be even worse than the other army is at. So like the way he just like got switched out into this role, and the narrator is there to give you comedy too. It's like, I don't know. And I agree that this one might not have been the best use, although I think it also provided kind of like some oases in the story to like to get that pace back. Because if this was with no narration, I think it would feel even more dry and even more long, honestly. But
probably,
maybe,
But it just, I don't know. From the first narration part where he's fucking around with his cousin, I was just kind of like, this does not feel like it belongs here. I feel like this is more of like, I can see what this guy is saying. This is a show don't tell type of situation. I don't know.
Most of those could have been easily.
For sure.
But it
scared me a little bit at the beginning too.
Yeah.
When I heard it, I was like, "Oh, here it is." Like, I was like, I almost felt validated. I was like, "This is the one that I'm not gonna like."
I did kind of. It did feel like the novel roots with the narration a little more in this too. Like you can feel the book in the little bits that he gives you too. So I kind of decided it was a little more justified. But
I could see it being kind of difficult to not fall into that spell when you're adapting a book.
Right.
Because, I mean, when you're adapting a book, obviously it's difficult clearly we'll see that with this next one, which I vow now to just watch the movie as a film independent of a book. So I'm gonna do that for you guys.
All right. Well, give us some bits from the.
Oh, I will.
You got to give us some of the juice, but not.
Right.
But
don't douse us in the juice. I guess.
On Stephen King's behalf.
Right.
The way I've seen it now, like I forget when it was, but I read some creator, I think it was an author even, who is like, it might have even been Stephen King, but it was just, you got to separate the two, one's a book, and stuff that you read in a book, your mind creates, right? You can create the scenarios, the looks. So this is just his interpretation. So anyway, so I just separating the mediums, but I can see how you can get lost in the sauce and want to be like, I want to get as much of the good from the book and put it in,
Yeah. Because, it is describing inner thoughts of Barry at the moment.
Right, which books are able to do because that's what books are. That's what novels are. You're with the characters and you're in their heads,
all knowing, omniscient, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, but that's a struggle I have too. Is like I think I don't really ever want to do narration, but I question if there are times when I should. So I haven't found a time that I really think I should yet, but.
Yeah. There's one show that really pulled it, and that was Dexter, I think, and those are novels too, series. But like the way that it's pulled off, it's like it's his character, and he's talking to us,
internalizing it, with someone here. Like
same with Mr. Robot, it kind of just it works, as the narrating.
Right, that's kind of like with A Clockwork Orange. That one works the same way, where it's a crazy person's inner dialogue. Like this one's like an outside, like it is like the book reader.
Completely.
Like,
right. Like you can picture a guy at a desk opening a book up and just reading.
And Barry went,
Yeah,
for sure.
How do you know? Like that's like what type of story
needs it?
Like propagates that.
The first one that jumped to my mind was Memento, as like that's a good one. Like the dude is like trying to figure out where he is every moment in his head. So like you need some of that.
Trend. If you're a little crazy or something's up with the brain,
that's when it
works.
Yeah, right. Makes sense.
Castaway, is it done in Castaway? Like when just pure isolation? Like
I think it's just mostly silence in that one. And
that one's more like you're just watching this man.
That's so weird.
That's another great movie though.
Yeah,
for different reasons. That's a good one. Yeah, it's just I feel like it'd work perfect in space or like anything sci-fi. It's like partly with The Martian, it's like you're journaling kind of like your thoughts, right? Like to keep up on stuff.
I can see that. Yeah.
You got to get the character's thoughts out somehow, to the audience somehow. And if it can't be through hammy dialogue, sometimes you just want to drill it right into their brain,
Talk
through narration.
To them, right?
Slap them in the face with it.
Right.
Right.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Did you get it? Did you get the point? But yeah, I thought this movie ended pretty well too after the duel stuff. I question if Barry Lyndon has a justified ending, because honestly, I don't think he's like that bad of a guy, especially in the duel where he shoots away. He clearly decided to be a better man there, and gets punished for it, which like it's kind of in following with those types of movies where like the skeevy Bullingdon character gets away with everything while our main guy doesn't. I just felt like kind of hollow by the end, but I think the scene with them just passing the checks over, and then he gives the look of like this one to the wife. It's Redmond Barry for 500 gold or whatever, 500 guinea.
Yeah.
And the way she just kind of like thinks it all over, like her whole past, and then just like writes it off as like another expense, and then like just keeps. That was a powerful shot, a good way to end it, I'd say too. So.
Yeah, I don't know. This is like, I don't think I'll be rewatching this one at any time. I don't see myself rewatching this one, but like, it was good. I'm glad I watched it. It does feel like a definitive like period piece, like European period piece. If that's your thing, like you can find a quality one here. I feel like, and
for sure,
it's definitely worse out there. So, not my favorite of Kubrick's. Not my least favorite. But.
Yeah, also not my favorite. Also amongst my least. So.
Nice. Yeah, this is honestly one of the higher ones for me. I honestly don't think I'll be rewatching it soon, though. Like, I don't feel the pull like I did for like 2001 or even kind of Spartacus. But I still think it's one of his better movies too. So, That's where I was gonna give this one 4.5 at the moment, maybe 4.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
No.
yeah.
I gave it 4. Waffled between 3.5 and 4.
I'll give it maybe 2.5, 3.
There it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that last scene. It elevated it a little bit, where I was like, "This was actually pretty good." So
Yeah, for sure.
well put together.
Yeah.
Only takes one scene,
sure.
Kubrick.
Yeah, right. You just got to be entertaining at the end, right? That's what we learned in
Yeah.
adaptation.
Right.
So, all right. Well, join us for next week's. It's going to be a heated one, I think. The Shining. It's going to be interesting discussion. So,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what you guys think. You guys haven't read the book, right?
no.
No.
No. Okay. This was my first Stephen King book, and
Damn.
I love his books. So
Yeah.
It's a lot roped into this one.
yep.
Well, we'll see how it stacks up with all of Kubrick's other movies next week. We'll see you then, guys.
Yep.